Hello! On this piece of cardboard sits my Friends revival idea, and today you're going to be my Marta Kaufman, David Crane, the creators of Friends, and you're going to be my Kevin S. Bright, their producing partner, as I pitch to you my Friends revival concept. Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Let's be clear, I hate the idea of revivals and reboots, especially these days as they're used as motivation for rewriting iconic character and TV show and movie history with reboots and revivals, right? Trying to change things that were problematic. There's a lot of people out there who feel that Friends hasn't aged well, and some of the humour, for example, some of the fat jokes, some of the gay jokes, are problematic. Just remember, Friends, or anything of its ilk, was a product of its time. And also don't forget, in the 90s, when Friends started, that was the beginning of PC culture. But it hadn't kind of evolved to what it is today, where even our very faults are policed. There's some things I see on Friends, and sometimes I love Friends, by the way. Obviously, I love Friends, or I wouldn't be doing this, right? But there's some of the gags that I think, wow, that is risque. Even for the 90s, right? Some of the jokes that they got away with, wow, some of the things being said by the characters, wow, even for me, who's a chilled out dude. But let's be absolutely clear here. Friends was getting 24 million viewers on NBC when it was being broadcast on its first run all those years ago. 24 million for a 22 episode sitcom is amazing, right? And today it's the most viewed TV show or movie around the world. That's higher views than any first run streaming show or movie. Think about that. So there's an energy and a passion for these characters and this show. What Marta and David did was amazing. I don't think there's been a sitcom of its ilk before, and there's some great sitcoms. And I mean, like the Frasier revival, the success of that show proves you could do it with Friends. But this has to be quite, deeply thought about. Friends is the biggest thing in the world. These actors are now seen, seen like the Beatles. And of course, one of the things that's always been on my mind is that we recently lost Matthew. Matty. Very tragic, because he was, he was our favourite person. I think Chandler, for British audiences, had that sarcasm, and that's why he worked. But he was a very human, and he was flawed. They were all flawed, by the way. That's all the most successful characters are always the flawed ones. So I've been rewatching Friends on a loop for the past 12 months. And when I rewatch my favourite shows, doesn't matter what it is, I automatically come up with ideas on how I'd bring it back. I know how I'd bring Alias back. I know how I'd bring Lost back. I know how I'd bring 24 back. So it doesn't matter what it is, I have ideas. But this is the most fleshed out ideas I've ever come up with. I've got ideas for the original characters, but they're kids. Don't forget, what has it been, 20 odd years since Friends aired? So these kids would be, I think, in late teens, I'm not very good at maths, 20s, whatever. So I have a plan for them as well. Now here's the thing with my idea to revive Friends. I don't know if I would keep it as a 22-minute sitcom or a 40-minute drama every week. I'm not stupid. The world has changed. We're not going to have 24 episodes anymore, right? First of all, I don't even know if the original cast would be interested in coming back full-time for 5 to 15 episodes a year, or if they would just want to recur or have nothing to do with it. This could be a situation where we'd have to cast their kids and make it about them. And then I have to come up with different ideas, right? And it's difficult, it's more difficult to sell with just their kids because, as I say, the remaining actors who played Joey and Phoebe and Monica, Ross and Rachel are the Beatles. They are iconic. People are in love with them. What you don't want to do is bring a show back and break it. You don't want to be Star Wars, do you? Where it's leaving a bitter taste in the mouth. Whatever your view is, if you think those fans are toxic or whatever, I don't think customers are toxic. The paying customer has a right to complain when they don't like something, right? Let me give you a little short story about that, by the way. When I first left school, I worked behind the deli counter. But I used to have to do from 8 in the morning to 8 at night. They used to forget to give me my tea breaks and my lunch breaks. I took out that frustration on my customers. I drove those customers away. The deli counter closed down and I was made redundant. This is an analogy of today's entertainment industry and the way they think and talk publicly about their own consumer. It's not very smart. I wasn't very smart to take out my frustrations on my customers, and I lost my job because of it. Little analogy there for you. So are you ready to hear my Friends Revival concept? So just in case by some miracle, and this is not going to happen, that Marta Kauffman, David Crane and Kevin S. Bright are watching. I know that Marta is still around. I'm not sure about Kevin, and I don't know about David. I don't know if everyone's still alive. I hope so, because those guys are geniuses. And I'd love to get in a room with them one day and give them this pitch. So anyway, let's do this. Number one, because, you've got the Matthew Perry situation. He's gone, regrettably. He shouldn't be gone, by the way. He shouldn't be gone. That's a very strong opinion. He didn't have to die. He wasn't looked after and protected. And he shouldn't, this is just my personal opinion. Hope I don't get myself in trouble. He shouldn't have stayed in LA in his condition. And I said it at the time when he was still with us. It's the wrong place for him. When I saw that Friends reunion, my heart broke for him because he was in no condition to do that. But that guy loved the fans and he loved Friends. He was very passionate, very passionate. He had concerns about Monica and Chandler being a couple. He didn't want the fans to be upset. Not because he was going to lose his job or ratings were going to go down. He cared. The guy really did care. It was more than a job to him. So I didn't know him, but I knew Chandler. So the first episode would be a revival pilot in my mind. And he's not going to go missing. He's not going to be a deadbeat dad who's run away. No way. Not on my watch. He would be dead. Chandler is dead in this pilot revival episode. And the whole idea is that the episode revolves around the build-up and the event of his funeral. But the characters have separated since the show ended. They haven't really seen each other. They have drifted apart. So the whole idea is that you get the hilarity of them from all around America trying to get to this funeral and, seeing the hilarity of them struggling to get there. Now, I'm not too sure what's happened to them in the resulting years and whether the new setup that I've got planned for these characters would have already happened or if we're going to set it up within this pilot. I think some of the things that I want to set up could have already been there. But what I want really is them back in the kind of apartment building. I want them all back in that apartment building. So for example, my idea is to have Ross, Rachel, who are still together, by the way. We're not going to split them up and do the will they, won't they thing again. That would be insulting to every single fan of Friends. We're not going to do that. So Ross and Rachel are very much still together. And of course, they've got Emma. No idea if they had any other kids. Probably just Emma. But anyway, and obviously, no, not forgetting Ben, of course. So it's Emma and Ben. God, how can I forget Ben? Because I've actually got a really good idea. One scene I've got with Ben and Ross and Susan. We'll get to Carol and Susan shortly. They're going to play a big part in this revival plan. So anyway, for example, I want them all back, in this apartment building, right? Living in separate apartments, being kind of neighbours rather than Ross being at another apartment. So they're going to come back. All of the Friends, life hasn't been good for them. They're not successful anymore because kind of in the original show, kind of quite a few of them had money and were doing okay. So for one reason or the other, all these characters' lives have gone in a bad way, so they don't have any money. So I want them all back in a separate apartment, right, living in a different kind of family dynamics in this apartment building. So, as I've said, Chandler is dead. So let's focus on Monica first, because I have a big plan for Monica that involves an original brand new character that I would want to play. So at the graveyard, she meets this homeless guy, right? I don't even have a name for him. As I want to play him, let's call him Mick. Mick is a homeless guy who's standing over the grave of his dead sister who died of a drug overdose. He's been homeless all his life. He's still homeless. He and his sister grew up on the streets. He has this guilt that he didn't look after her while they were on the streets, and that's why she died. And as Monica's leaving the graveyard, she bumps into him and they start bonding over their shared grief. Little does Monica know, not only did this guy used to know Phoebe when she was on the streets, Chandler befriended this guy, Mick, and his sister, and he used to, without Monica's knowledge, bring them her leftovers. So Chandler was kind of very good friends. On the way to work every day, he would talk to them and give them Monica's leftovers. So Monica doesn't have all this information, but as they start bonding and talking at the graveyard, he realizes this is Monica, Chandler's wife, and then Monica starts to find out a side of Chandler she didn't know about. Not a bad side, that he was this humanitarian, that he was helping this, these homeless siblings. Now, secretly, my character, this homeless guy, Mick, is harboring a crush. He's falling in love for Monica, but he knows there's no chance. So he keeps this to himself. So the will they, won't they situation is now with Monica and my character, Mick. And Monica being Monica and knowing what Chandler did for him and the sister, decides to ask Mick to move in with her. Now, Ross is not going to trust my character at all, but he does reluctantly move in with Monica. Now, I want to bring back in a recurring role Tom Selleck as Richard, and I forgot the lady's name, I do apologise to you, who played Janice, because I absolutely effing loved Janice. Now, Richard and Janice are now an item, but their relationship isn't very stable. Richard still has designs on Monica, and there's a chance there, because obviously she did used to love him. And then Janice has designs on my character, Mick, and that becomes, there's a lot of hilarity there. But there's an issue, obviously, because Monica, I don't know if I want to make it obvious that Monica likes my character, or it's a kind of mystery, we don't really know. But for sure, my character is absolutely madly in love with Monica, and there's a lot of things going on with them. And obviously, Monica has children who also don't trust this homeless guy. So then we go, basically, I've mentioned Phoebe knows the homeless guy. Where are we? So Joey returns for the funeral, but he's been away. He's been on sabbatical. He's got no money. He's bitter and angry. Him and Chandler drifted apart. He feels responsible and guilty after learning that Chandler died. So Joey comes back with absolutely nothing. Now, Phoebe has divorced her husband, Mike. And I'll tell you the truth, I never liked the chemistry between Paul Rudd and Lisa Kudrow. And I've had, since rewatching the show and the show finished airing, I found a new respect for Phoebe. That's the character I love the most now. Because when, in the original run, I didn't really think much of Phoebe. Is there any point to her, I used to think. So I apologise officially to Lisa, who I never had an issue with. I thought her performances were always outstanding. But I never really got into the character of Phoebe. It's only now, since the show's ended, that I absolutely adore her. So, yeah. So Phoebe now is living on her own. She has no children, right? Obviously, she gave birth to the triplets. We'll get to the triplets, don't worry about that. I have a plan for the triplets as well and the younger characters. So Phoebe is very excited about Joey's return. I'll be clear, there was lots of hints about Joey and Phoebe. It never panned out. I'm not one of these people who thinks everyone should be coupled up. I didn't like Monica and Chandler being coupled up. It really did Joey's character dirty. That relationship with Joey and Chandler kind of suffered. They were still friends, there were still gags there, they were sharing moments, but it wasn't the same. So I never liked that. I never liked that change up. I didn't think it was terrible or anything, but I'm not really a kind of let's couple everyone up. But so Phoebe and Joey are going to live together. She's going to ask Joey to move in with her, right? So, as Joey's really bitter and angry, a young woman approaches him and claims to be his daughter. And after a DNA test, she is his daughter. I don't know who the mother's going to be. I may have a little twist, by the way, on who the mother may be. And I'm not going to reveal that, by the way. But I haven't decided who that is, but there could be a big twist there. Anyway, so that's Joey and Phoebe, and eventually this young woman living together. So, this is a kind of more fun, lighter idea I have. So, Frank and Alice's triplets will be running Central Perks. Obviously, we've lost the actor who played Gunther, so we need Central Perks is there. We're not going to change those things. There needs to be a Central Perks. And these three young people will be running it. I just love the idea of these three young people behind that counter, like making an absolute mess. They're useless at making coffee. They drop the pie. They are just useless. And I think what I might do is have my character, the homeless guy, work with them and have a kind of hilarious bond with those characters. So what my plan is for Ben and Emma and the rest of the kids, that's where they hang out. That's now mostly where we see the young characters. Again, I don't know how much we're going to see of these young characters, whether they're going to be the main part or they're just going to be kind of there kind of thing. But we're going to have some fun with them as well. It all depends on the original cast. Obviously, none of this is going to happen. But if this did happen by some miracle, you don't know where the creators are at, if they would want to bring back Friends, if the original cast would want to come back without Matthew. It's very understandable. If they think that's done, we don't want to break it, leave it alone. I understand that as well. So this is another exciting idea that I've got. Ross, Rachel, Carol and Susan are now living together. As I say, I never wanted to break Ross and Rachel up again and do the whole yawn fest of will they, won't they. We've been there, we've done that. Let's not insult the fans. They had a happy ending, but their lives are not exactly as happy as they once were. Because Ross and Rachel invested their money in a fashion boutique which went belly up. So they had to bring in Carol and Susan, who are also down on their luck. And they're all living together, right? And they're all helping each other out in a way. So there's lots of hilarity and drama. But Carol and Ross have become very close again. And Rachel can see this and is very, very concerned that maybe they're falling in love with each other again. There's also, I mentioned earlier, I want to create a kind of problematic relationship between Ben and Susan, considering she's not his biological mother. So she's telling him off. He's done something, and he says, "You're not my mum." But it's Ross who stands there and says, "How dare you?" After all the problems that Ross and Susan have had, I thought this would be a great little emotional thing. So Ross goes, "How dare you? Apologise to your mother. I never want to hear you speaking to your mother, aka Susan, like that again." So Ben apologises, right? And I think that's a great scene. And considering the troubles between Ross and Susan, I think that will be a great little thing to do. So that's what's going on. So yeah, where are we? So we got Richard and Janice. And something else, one more thing. I don't know if I've left any characters out. I hope I haven't, right? I hope I haven't left anyone out. But Frank is back. Giovanni Ribisi is my favourite Friends recurring guest star. What an amazing find. I don't know if he was that big at the time. when they got him. But Giovanni is one of the great actors of his generation. He's so unique. He's character-based, and the guy is so clever. So I'm bringing back Giovanni Ribisi as Frank, but he's a widow. He's a widow. Let me try and say that word again. He's a widower. So Alice has died. And I love that actress. I love that actress. But I like the idea of Frank being a widower, and something I didn't tell you at the time, he'll be living with Joey and Phoebe and Joey's new daughter. I think we've got an interesting little dynamic brewing now, and all brilliant actors, by the way. So this is my Friends revival plan. Smash a like on the video if you like it. Hey, make a comment if you don't. Make a comment if you do like it. And maybe you should do a thumbs down. Thumbs down if you hate the idea. Thumbs down if you don't want a revival idea. And a thumbs up if you want Friends back this way. I think, as I said earlier, this could be a 40-minute drama or the old-style sitcom. Absolutely, we're bringing back the intros, right? The original intros. I know we don't have intros these days, but the Friends intro is iconic. And that intro finishes off with a camera doing a slow zoom to a framed photo of Chandler. Chandler ignites most of the storylines. Even though Matthew's gone and we can't use Chandler anymore, his heart and soul is still a part of this show. That's going to be utterly important to every fan, to Marta, David and Kevin, because everyone loved him, right? He was great, he was brilliant. His death, his loss was devastating to us all, but most importantly to the people who knew him and loved him. His father and his friends and his family and everyone who knew him. That's who's really felt the loss. But we knew Chandler, and Chandler is dead as well. With Matthew being dead, Chandler's dead as well. So that's something that we've been grieving about. Fictional character. Why are you grieving a fictional character? Because this is what entertainment is all about. This is what it used to be about. We take these concepts and characters to our hearts. They uplift us. They help us become better people. Maybe sometimes worse people. But they empower us in different ways. This is the power of storytelling, whether you're reading a book, listening to a radio drama, an audio drama, watching a film or a television show. It matters. And the sad thing is that the entertainment industry has lost that glimmer of hope, what it used to be about. That's why I don't watch many new run TV shows or movies, because slowly I've fallen out of love with entertainment, with storytelling. But I still watch the classics like Friends. So I think as long as we can keep a current day mentality, if you know what I mean, out of this Friends revival, I think it can be something utterly special. So let me know. This is my pitch for a Friends revival. Please let me know what you think. Now I can't switch off the video.